So even after 21 years, you still claim yourself a startup.
Yeah.
But walking in, I found out that I got a free pop after 2 years of leaving Microsoft, and that's here.
Yeah.
And when I pressed the button, there were 23 varieties of it.
That soda machine is crazy. I agree.
Right, and so I was just thinking, this is definitely not startup. This is enterprise. This is as good as it gets.
Oh, okay, yeah. Startups would just give you a can of Coke. Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, some of them don't even give a can of Coke.
Well, I'd say startup. You guys got to get your act together. Coke should at least be free.
Right, but anyway, so great success story. Again, right on the verge. You want to claim yourself a startup, but I think it's a company with enterprise quality. So tell me about.
Hey, wait, can I stop you? And then you can ask me your question. I think startup is the ultimate compliment, and so enterprise quality is cool. There's a lot of enterprise quality companies. Startup is a great compliment of a group that's got, and I tell the people in this building all the time, like, being a startup is a compliment. I mean, what are you saying? You're scrappy, you're a fighter, you never quit, you're willing to change,
you're resourceful,
do anything to be successful.
You're a survivor.
Yeah, that's right. To me, that's
you can take the pain.
Those are the attributes of success, and so we wear the idea that we're still a startup like a badge of honor. It's to us, we're not progressing away from being a startup. We're clinging to the idea of being a startup.
I like it. I truly like it. Actually, I wrote my LinkedIn profile. I changed it 2 days ago. I mentioned now I can own the honor of being a startup lawyer because my startup clients exceed the enterprise ones.
Nice.
So anyway, coming back to the journey that you traveled, tell me about 3 qualities that you thought that you had as a very successful startup lawyer who had successfully walked through that entire journey, which were really enduring throughout that journey that brought you from there to here.
Okay, 3 qualities of my own.
Yeah.
I'm lacking in a lot of qualities. There's a number of people here who could build you the list of qualities that I'm lacking. So I appreciate the opportunity to set the record straight on the 3 qualities I may have. I would say, first and foremost, I love teams. I love working on teams. I love collaborating. I love leading. I love being a part of teams. That collaboration, or that desire for collaboration, that desire to work together, and that desire to achieve something together has served me very, very well. Because what we've built here is a unique culture of people who really love working together. I have a very optimistic nature, and optimism is rule 1 for a startup. You have to have incredible amounts of optimism because you just don't start any job. There are some brilliant people in this building who the first thing they think of when a new project is presented are all of the things that will go wrong. And to balance those people, you need people like me who will, the first time someone brings up a new idea, you think, oh my God, that might be the coolest idea ever. And it'll work, it's totally going to work, it's going to be the greatest thing.
So you're telling that's a good quality?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to balance that with other people who maybe are more pragmatic.
Correct.
But the idea of optimism is required to undertake tasks that when you look back on them, like, let's be honest, when I was 23 years old and we started this company, we did not have any sense that we were going to build a company with 4,000 employees and 25,000 customers. Had I said that back then, everyone, and they would have justifiably laughed at me.
Irrationally exuberant.
Bingo,
right?
bingo. And so optimism, I think, is a big one. And the third, and that optimism married with a desire to see the world in the capacity to kind of see past the current things that are broken and kind of see a world that says, hey, you know what, this could be better. And yes, it doesn't look like this today, but it can look better. So a capacity to look around the corner a little bit, and by that, a capacity to perhaps see a better world. Whatever it is we're doing.
Is that also the same as dream big?
I think it's the capacity to dream. It's certainly it's the capacity to dream. I'm a dreamer. I'm a daydreamer. If you put me in a meeting that I'm bored in, my eyes will be open, but I'll be thinking about something else. Is, I think, required. Somewhere in your startup, it doesn't have to be you, but somewhere in your startup, there's got to be a capacity to dream. You have to have a sort of sense of optimism about your capacity to achieve that dream. And you have to have, at some level, a means of defining the values that you want to go do it with. And in my case, I want to work in a company where we like each other, where we care about each other, and where we can do it as a team. That's what I want. And whether I've been blessed with those skills from the outset, or whether I've acquired them based on these incredible people I work with, I don't know. Who knows?
So those really carried through sort of, the entire journey, and
Totally.
for any time of that cycle.
I don't care whether you're running a 50,000 person company or a 30-person company. I have to believe that those attributes are essential.
Great. So, of course, I met an employee here who's been with you all for more than 15 years.
Uh-oh. So you got the real
I got the
scoop.
internal scoop from her. What I heard.
Are you going to reveal the source?
Yes, I am.
15 years. I'll know who it is.
Correct. So, confidentially, she said you're very charismatic and
Nice.
amazingly.
Scored on the charismatic scale.
I know. She said charismatic,
you check it.
exceptional,
Exceptional.
and genuine.
Whew. That's good. That's all good. She's getting a raise.
I know. I'm not telling you who she is. So anyway,
All right.
thank you. That's really, really helpful. The second one that I have is this, about the funding story. Go back to the days when you were, looking to finance outside of your own finances, right?
Yeah.
Go back to the days when I
Okay.
don't know whether you all got angel funding at that time, pre-VC or that angel VC kind of time.
Right.
Right? Tell me, what was that story, and what did you learn? And if you tell the startup CEOs who are struggling to sort of expand to that next stage, that they're hanging in there to the very difficult time because, as you know, our angel community is not very active here. And what do what are some advice that you can give?
So let's talk about that angel community and its activity. Well, let's table that, because we're going to come back to that one as a part of the answer to this question. The two things. One, I don't think you should be in a super great rush to get money. I know it's important. It's nice to get paid and to be able to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Those are important things that it is important. But remember, the most valuable asset you have outside of your family and your friends and all the things that matter to your personal life, the most valuable asset you have in the business you're building is the equity of that asset. It's the thing.
You are right.
And so the deeper you get into building your value, the deeper you can display that value to a potential investor, whether that's an angel investor, a Series A venture capitalist, or your brother-in-law who's going to loan you a couple bucks. Whoever that is, the more you can show them that, hey, I have a product, I have a business, I have customers, I have value, the more you're going to be able to protect that equity. And let me tell you, if you're building a real business, the protection of that equity is you're going to thank yourself 1,000 times over 20 years later when you can say, I own I and my management team, or all the employees of this company own this much of the company. Because they did the incredible amount of work to do it, and therefore they've retained an incredible asset. So don't be in a rush. That's first. Second, if you can wait long enough, and you've demonstrated that value, have the courage to stick to that value and work with partners that are more interested in building a business with you than in yielding a return immediately. And there are some great ones. There are some great guys in this neighborhood. I think, like I mentioned already, Chris at Founders Co-op. I think he's absolutely fantastic. I think some of the local venture. I think the guys at Madrona and Matt McElwain and that whole team at Madrona are long-term venture capitalist thinkers. They're not guys who want to get in, bang it out, and sell something.
Right.
They want to get in and help you build a business.
Right.
And they have a great track record. You can look at the companies that they're working with, where they want to partner with you and help you build something. Those are the people you want. And so don't always go for the best deal, go for the best partner.
I see.
And so,
that means that investment, if you have to or if you must, serve two purposes. One is bringing in the money, but then you also bring or have access to expertise.
Bingo,
right?
bingo. And so there are, if you're not getting the expertise,
right.
You're losing a huge chunk of the value you're supposed to be getting. And so it's both. And of course the money matters, and of course the terms of the deal and the equity ownership, all that matters. But once you've decided that you've accumulated enough value to go get the money, get the money and the expertise, and choose the best deal on the basis of the best partner. All in, not just the terms of the deal.
Right. In other words, you can kill two birds in one.
You have to.
Right?
You have to.
Have to
this is one of the most strategic decisions you're going to make.
Right.
Do not screw that up.
So this is really good. Actually, I was going to bring up this next question again, funding related one. So I have some startup CEOs who are thinking about spending money on renting an office space because of course they have to create the culture and they have to make sure that those who are working for them feel belong to the team and they're motivated. As you know, everyone has to compete with technical talent.
Yeah, no doubt.
That, right? So they are straddled between this resource issue. Should I spend that much money to get this working space? Now, of course, as you know, we have several choices here in Seattle. You have co-working spaces and things like that,
yeah,
right?
Cool. Yeah.
So then one CEO asked me, we would really like to have a nice conference room because that would give credibility for the partners who are going to come and look at our product and, who are willing to team up with us. Can you imagine inviting them to a co-working space in these little places? Going back to that equity question, I ended up telling him, if you spend that, that would also mean that you're pretty much eating your equity. So it's what is that delicate between
you don't need a nice conference room.
I would think that the person who wants to partner with you, knowing where you are in that startup space, should appreciate at least, your resource limited, and that's the reason why you are, in that
You're
place.
right.
What do you think?
You definitely don't need a nice conference room. No, you don't. Unless you're in the meeting business and you need a place to work every day and you're going to turn that conference room into 18 desks. No, here's what you need. If you want to meet with folks who are going to fund your business, here's what they want to know. Do you have a great product with a big market? Are you brilliant? Is your team brilliant? Do you have the capacity to execute on your strategy? Everything else is secondary. I can promise you this, that I don't care which venture capitalist you're talking to. He doesn't care if you're wearing ripped jeans and a t-shirt or if you're wearing a three-piece suit.
Or you're working off of your garage, right?
Totally.
Some of the
They don't care. They're smart enough to know that, for sure. These guys, the greatest startup stories don't have anything to do with how nice the conference rooms were. For sure.
Very good. Good advice. So, resource limitations, great. This is really helpful. And the other one that I wanted to ask you was, moving to enterprise. I know that the challenges are different. You mentioned some of them. Now you know where your money is coming from, and you're used to the revenue stream, and you're looking upward and making great partnerships and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that really dramatically changed from moving from that space, being a startup, to enterprise, that naturally came to you, right? And then, what are your challenges still from going forward?
Well, I'll give it to you. The things that the challenges are they're easy to point out because they continue to announce themselves as we get bigger and bigger. But the first and the most significant is certainly that making changes in a company of 4,000 people is just way harder than it was when you're 40 people. Your capacity to realize, remember, when you think about changing direction or pivoting or making adjustments to your business, you have to acknowledge that there's 4,000 people now who need to get the memo. And you're not just going to be able to send out an email and say, we're changing.
Right.
You have to communicate to every one of these constituencies why and how and what you're going to do if you want to build a great company. Correct. You can certainly send out an email and say, we're doing it, and they'll just do what you say. But what we're trying to do here is different. We want to build a place where people feel connected to the mission.
Right.
And if you're going to be connected to the mission, you've got to understand why in the places you're doing it.
Right. So although you have 4,000 employees, they're your team.
Yeah. Like there's a misnomer, or not misnomer, there's a misconception that if you're in charge, you just get to tell people what to do and they do it. Well, you can have that kind of business. And if you're Steve Jobs, that business is going to work because they should do what you're going to say because you're brilliant. The rest of us actually have to build consensus with the people we work with so that they can be inspired to do the work. And there's there's the sort of concept of the servant master, where you are as much in need of the people that are working with you and for you as they are of you. And so you've got to figure out a balance as how to get there, and how to take and incorporate all of their needs and their dreams and their mission around what it is you're trying to get the business to do. That's not easy. That's a new skill. It's certainly not a skill that any of us had when we got started at Concur. Are we good at it? I don't know. We're working on it, and I think we still have a pretty special place here. So I think we're certainly making progress. The ones that came easy to us, we love to build software. And here's the thing: we love to build software, and then as soon as we build it, we don't really like it. We want to change it again, and so that's startup mode. You build it, and you're like, God, if I just had a little bit more time on that sprint, like it would have been so much better. Or if I didn't have to make that trade-off, we could have done this or that, or if we'd have made that turn instead of this turn. And so we're constantly reinventing our software, and that's good for us. That was easy, though. We never stopped doing that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why we're still pretty competitive in our space.
So meaning maintaining that agility.
Maintaining that agility and that desire to be better. Like everything you ship, looking at it and think, man, I wish that was better. I wish, this shipping software is one of the hardest things you ever had to learn how to do. And the thing you learn is that you're never happy when it's done. You finish it and you're like, wish it could have been better. It's never done. That's why. And so that part of our culture, that's been around forever.
Right. Very nice. Also, as you know, we do have lots of employees looking for great places to work.
Yeah, this is a great
now,
place to work.
And we have a lot of employees getting out of big enterprises, right? And in large numbers. Tell me why they should come and work with you, and what can they get here that they don't get somewhere else, like in big enterprise in Seattle? Yeah,
cool. I would say the most important thing is they should find the place where they're the happiest. Like I don't want them to come here because I give them a good sales pitch. I want them to go to a place where they love. Remember this for sure, if you get anything out of any of these conversations. If you work in some place you don't love, you're screwing up. Like you're screwing up because you work in the tech space probably if you're watching this video, and people need people like you. And so there's no point, there's no reason, there's absolutely no good excuse for you to work in a place that you don't like. So don't do that.
I have a good one from Ben Franklin. You paid too much for your visa.
Right. So the second part of that would be we're a different kind of place. Obviously, we want brilliant people. We want great engineers. We want great marketers, salespeople, etc. But we want people who believe in a set of values like teamwork and a real passion for doing stuff together, a real passion for failing and leaning forward a little bit and taking risk and screwing up, and not beating each other up for screwing up, but instead kind of saying like, oh, look what we learned. Let's try this. Let's try something new. If you like that kind of environment, this is your kind of place. Not everybody does. But we're super open about the fact that, man, there's tons of work to do. We do it this way, and we have a place where we like the people we work with, and we like to collaborate and get things done together. If you're into that, this is your place.
Great. No, I think that just is the start of culture, right? I mean, having that culture and the mindset in, no matter what the size of the company or the size of the team.
That's right.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate the time.
I appreciate the time with you as well.
That was awesome. You're obviously the visionary, man. So I think maybe next time we can talk a little bit more about the visionary piece of you, and in that you kind of have those Steve Jobs qualities, but you're not a dick. That part. You know what I mean?
That's the part you don't want to have.
Yeah, but that's what he got, right? Look at what he did. It seems like